This video is made for adult collectors because itty bitty tiny Bumblebee.
Alright, we got Bumblebee, 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 Bumblebee,
This Bumblebee, it was very widely debated about when it got released because of the Netflix one. I don't have that, but I do have Goldbug, so that's close enough. The debate is over which is better, and yeah, which one do you prefer actually? Let me know in the comments. Also, this was purchased at CMD store. Here's the box, not sponsored. This little guy is a lot of fun, but having these two, are they too similar to really warrant needing to get the new one? Well, no. The new one is actually a lot different from the old toy, with not only its looks, but also in its engineering. It only shares a little bit of stuff. I like the new one's look. The way they make the feet stubbier and how the lower legs look to me is a lot nicer than the old one. It was like getting Animated Bee for the first time though. You open it up and you're like, yeah, it's alright. And then you mess with it more and it becomes a lot more fun. The robot mode for me goes to the new one. The colors on it, I dig a lot, except for the painted parts where the yellow is almost impossible to paint match. So it looks like that. Sculpting is nice. There isn't a ton on display, but this is an 86 figure, not a legacy figure, so that makes sense. And it does fit into my 80s Autobot shelf very well, though there's no blue windows. I thought that was a bit odd given the rest of the toys that they have for the 86 line now, but for those of you who don't like the blue windows, this is just black plastic, so that's good. Mine has like a red hair paint strand on the back of his ass, but I can remove that pretty easily. The back part, by the way, it's on a double hinge. It does not parts form. Yay to the people who didn't like the parts forming. That's solved, so that's great. I love the head sculpt, but again, my only issue is I wish it had an expression. It's Bumblebee. Give him like a smirk or something. That'd be really cool. But otherwise, it's a nice little head. It reminds me a lot of the Origins one, though. It's entirely different. I like these foot panels. They put a bit of platform underneath the feet to make sure the wheels don't impact the standing. Part of me, though, wishes the wheels could compress a bit, but I still like the foot design. He comes with a gun, it's painted in silver, and it looks like, well, like a generic G1 pistol. But yeah, the robot mode, I think, personally, of these three Bumblebees, the one that's my favorite is this one. So how is that posing? For a small, stubby, chunky guy, he's got a lot of good joints. Like, we've gone a long way from this to this, so I like that. I like that quite a bit. It pretty much does the same as the Earthrise mold, except there's a tiny little difference in the way that the feet work. So the head is on a ball joint. You can get a little bit of tilt out of it. It can look up that far and down that far, but you can use the hinge to get more down, even though its heads just come off. And then you have a full rotation because it's a ball joint. Shoulders are also on ball joints. They can go in and out. You have bicep rotation. You have 90 degrees of bend at the knee, and it does click at the end. And that's just due to the transformation. That's because that's where it needs to be. Then you have a wrist swivel as well. You have a waist joint, though sometimes the waist does bump into the backpack a little bit and just pushes it out slightly. Not enough for it to come undone or to be annoying, it just does that. The hips can go forward that far, they can go back that far, they can go out that far. You've got thigh rotation. You have 90 degrees of bend at the knees, and then you have your ankle tilt, which is a little high up, but that's just due to how the foot's designed. However, if you want a little bit deeper of a knee bend, you can start bending the transformation hinge to make it look like the knee's bending a little bit more, which I dig. However, on this side, that activates more than the knee does. This side, the knee works. This side, the knee also, well, it still works, but if I go to bend it, it bends the foot before it bends the knee. Slightly annoying sometimes, but it's not terrible. No, he's posing, he's posable, he's fun. I mean, he can stand on one foot, you'll see that later, but yeah, he's cool. I like him. He's a little bit more fun to mess with than this dude because this dude's ankle tilts. Like, the whole foot assembly is just really awkward to me. So, like, this being slightly smaller in length, I dig it quite more. It makes it easier to play with than this thing was. For me, anyways. So, pretty standard posing fare, not the most dynamic thing in the world, but it does everything the Netflix Earthrise mold could do and more, so that's good. He can stand on one foot. Now, the transformation is a lot different from the Earthrise mold, but in some very interesting ways, so I'm gonna do a little comparison of each transformation for you. So at first glance, you'd look at these two and go, oh, they probably transform the same. And while the limbs end up in the same places, the way they get there is very different between each one because this one adds a lot more steps than this guy had. So when you're transforming this, the first thing you do is you open up the feet, and then you fold these sections out, you fold up these panels, they go inside, and then these bits go in. Whereas on this dude, it was just open these up, fold them down, and then fold out the wheel. Fold down, fold out the wheel, and that was the feet ready to go.
Now on this dude, you're gonna peg the feet together. Then you're gonna bring the backpack out, and the head is going to fold in to this cavity, close it up, and just leave that up like that. Whereas on this guy, you take the backpack off, which bugs a lot of people, and then you open this section up, and you fold out the hood and close that back up again, which doesn't like to do it. There we go, on mine. Then, get out of here. On this guy, you take the wheels and you bring them forward and then up. And then you bend the elbows and then peg them into place. They will peg together inside the car, the back of the car like that. Whereas on this dude, you gotta actually start with the waist first. You gotta bring this down and then bring this forward. And then you can bring the arms around and over to the back and clip them into place like so. They don't peg together, which I kind of wish they did, but the back of the car does come in to do that for you. It'll come over that like so, and then just cover that up. Whereas on this dude, the backpack hinges. It hinges on this double armature down, there we go, and plugs into place. And then the legs, pull the waist in and it will clip like that. Then you bring this around and then fold this up and it will just snap into place. And that's how you finish that one. Whereas with this guy, you just bring the legs up and they fill up the entire length of the vehicle. So peg it all. You should probably peg it in first. That's a good idea. There we go. Then bring it all up and then squeeze it all together. And that's the difference. So there's a lot more different on this than this, but the limbs do technically end up in the same spots like the arms do. They share no parts. There's no pieces shared between these two toys either. And you end up with two very, very different alt modes, which is cool. I like this. I like this quite a bit. I'm glad this is very different. It also just is more satisfying to transform than this because there's not a lot of things that have to push past themselves. Whereas with this guy, I feel like I always have to do that with the legs and the arms. They just don't feel as nice and rounded and robust as this does when you're trying to put it into a car, which is what I look for when it comes to transformations. It's why I like this thing so much. So yeah, I prefer transforming this over this, but they're not terrible. I do, however, wish that this only had one side view mirror, but whatever. Bumblebee.
I love the Penny Racer Toro Q looking car. This is epic. Not I think I just inhaled some dust. Not 100% accurate because there's no obvious Volkswagen license for this figure because haha, it's expensive. But he wasn't full-on accurate Beetle in the show either. He was just a penny racer in the show, so I'm not complaining. And even though I like the Beetle mode, I like this a lot more. It's the stylization of it, the way it looks, how dense it feels, and how easy it is to flip back and forth. The back wheels being bigger is very like Toro Q / penny racer thing. And I love that. They're all pinned too, so he rolls super well. Again, color matching isn't great. It's not super bad in person. My camera's having a tough time trying to pick it up. And the gun store's on the back, but I kind of wish it had like an official place to sit in this cavity. You can shove it in there, but it kind of pops the back out a bit. So I wish there was like some sort of official way to store it inside the car. But I dig this. I think it's better than the others, but I'm curious as to what everyone else thinks. Full price though, again, with Animated B, it's a bit on that. 33 to 36 Canadian-ish is kind of a lot. So like, yeah, this is going to be on shelves for a while because it's A level. So as a B, it's pretty good. And I could totally see Toy Hacks doing stickers to make this different character. So who knows, I might get a second one during when a sale occurs. But I personally don't see the full $36 out of this. It's not like the Earthrise one where it comes with a bazooka and all this other stuff, but then you have the parts forming, blah, blah, blah. This one feels more solid, and I can totally see why it costs the way that it does, but I'm not sure if I think it's worth that full $30 Canadian. Yes, 36 though. But that's my look at Studio Series 86 Bumblebee. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.